Hello, dear boys and girls. How are you today? I am glad to see you again. So, let's start our lesson. Look at the screen. Doctor, can you help me? My dog must be ill. You shouldn't have traveled so often. Look at the underlined verbs. How do we call them in English? You will find out due in the lesson, because the topic of our lesson is modal verbs for traveling. Don't forget to take your notebook and pens or pencils to make notes. Just before learning anything, let's revise the material. So, complete the sentences with verbs from the list in the correct form. I will give you some time and then we will check. I hope you have finished. Now, let's check number 1. You can get a discount if you book your tickets in advance. Yes, you're right. Number 2. Bike tours are becoming a more popular way to explore the city. Yes, good. Number 3. There are so many landmarks to see that a bus tour of the city is recommended. Number 4. Last week, Damir and Dana hired a boat and sailed around the coast. Yes, you're right. Number 5. The guided tour we took yesterday was amazing. Well done, students. Let's move to the grammar. So, what are modal verbs? Modal verbs are a small group of verbs which convey the speaker's opinion about or attitude towards what is being expressed. Modal verbs are used to express possibility, necessity, lack of necessity, obligation, permission, prohibition, request, suggestion, advice. Duty strong, obligation or strong advice must. For example, you must arrive at least 1 hour before your flight leaves. It's your duty. You are obliged to. You must learn to drive safely. I strongly advise you to. Next, we use have to express necessity or obligation. For example, you have to drive on the left in the UK. It's necessary. To express prohibition, mustn't or can't. For example, you mustn't or can't eat in the classroom. You aren't allowed. To express lack of necessity or obligation, we use don't have to. For example, you don't have to check in all your bags. It's not necessary. You don't have to wear a cycling helmet in some countries, but it's a good idea. It's not an obligation. To express permission, possibility, we use can, may, might, could. For example, can I ride my bike to school? You can park your car here. May, might or could I park my bike here? Cycling on the road can be dangerous. It's possible. To express of lack necessity, use needn't or don't need to. For example, I need a new passport. It's necessary. You needn't or don't need to pick me up. It's not necessary. You don't have to. For suggestions and requests, we use can. For example, you can get a taxi to the airport. It's faster. It's a good idea to get a taxi. Can you help me with my luggage, please? Will you help me with my luggage? To give advice, we use should or ought to. For example, You should or ought to remove any metal devices before you go through the security check. I advise you to. It's a good idea.
Evening. Where have you come from?
Bucharest, Romania.
May I have your passport and Form I-94, please?
Here you are.
What's the nature of your visit? Business or pleasure?
Pleasure. I'm visiting my relatives.
How long are you going to stay in the United States?
3 weeks.
What is your occupation?
I work as an accountant for a Romanian telecommunications company.
Do you have a return ticket?
Yes, here it is.
That's fine. Thanks. Enjoy your trip.
Thank you.
Now try to answer.
Where have you come from? May I have your passport and Form I-94, please? What's the nature of your visit? Business or pleasure? How long are you going to stay in the United States? What is your occupation? Do you have a return ticket? That's fine. Thanks. Enjoy your trip.
Let's continue practice. Incomplete the gaps with can, can't, may, might, and should. I will give you some time. I hope you have finished. Let's check. Number 1. When the doors open, you can or may get off the bus. Yes, you're right. Number 2. You should always buy your ticket in advance. It's my advice. Yes, you're right. Number 3. They may or might cancel the flight because of the storm, but we don't know yet. Good for you. Number 4. I can't park my bike there. It's for cars only. Yes, you're right. Good job. Next activity. Read the signs and fill in. Mustn't, have to, may, don't have to. I will give you some time and we will check them. I hope you have finished. Now let's check. Number 1. You may get home late today. Yes, you're right. Number 2. You mustn't drive up the street. Brilliant. Number 3. You have to leave the park before 6:30 p.m. Yes, good. Number 4. You don't have to pay for parking if you stay for less than an hour. Yes, you're right. Good job. We have learned modal verbs now. Let's learn how we can enlarge our vocabulary. We use prefixes im, in, il to show that something is negative or has the opposite's meaning. For example, possible, impossible, appropriate, inappropriate, logical, illogical. Now, students, check your progress. Try to say or write what you can do. For example, I can, I know how, I understand how. I can how explain what modal verbs are. I know how to use modal verbs correctly. I understand how form negative adjectives beginning with im, in, il. Or I can how talk about traveling using modal verbs. Guys, and now I want to wish you all the best and good luck everywhere. Be healthy and thank you. Goodbye.